So what is next? Pacific Northwest Kai is here, bringing you guys another update of the Stormfist Krillin deck. I typically update this deck every now and then when a new series comes out, just so I can keep up with the meta and just try to improve the deck to see if any of these cards help it compete. Now, going into the deck, if you guys don't know what Krillin Leader does, he's probably one of my favorite blue leaders out there, and he's definitely one of my favorite characters from the series. His auto is when this card attacks a leader card, you may choose one card from your life and add it to your hand. And if you do, you draw one card. So he does have a Self-Awakener, which is really good, especially for these leaders nowadays. Awaken, when your life is at 4 or less, choose up to one energy and switch it to active mode. And then flip this card over. So you only can get one energy, unfortunately not like the standard 2 we typically get with other leaders. Then on the Awaken side, you got Stormfist Krillin. When this card attacks, you draw one card, so not just a leader, but any card. And then when this guy, at the end of your turn, draw one card. So that's an auto right there, so you're always going to net 1. Then he has an Activate main. Once per turn, choose one card in your hand and then place it in a drop area. Then this card gets 5,000 attack power plus critical for the duration of the turn. So, already looking at the deck, you can kind of see that I didn't update too much. I just added a few cards in here, but they definitely make a difference. We swapped out the super combo. We're keeping the same unison, and we're kind of keeping the same game plan. We're doing a mid-range deck profile. We can really go to the long game if we wanted to with some of the cards we have in here, but we kind of want to keep it to the mid-range. We want to counter as much as we can in the beginning, just so we can get our setup. So you're going to get a lot of aggression here, but this deck is definitely a semi-competitive deck because if you're playing against those competitive decks that really spawn a lot of cards, you're going to have a tough time. Not saying you can't get any wins, but you're definitely going to be fighting an uphill battle. Just because of how the new series came out, we didn't get a lot of support for older decks. A lot of them are leader specific or color specific, or they are special trait specific, and Krillin being an Earthling didn't really get any benefits from the new series that's coming out. But we still try to take what we can and utilize them in our deck. So, going right into it, we got Zeno, 4 of the Zeno Cosmic Unisons. If you don't know what this guy does, adds 2 markers for his Activate main, and if your leader card is mono blue, which ours is, you place the top card of your deck in your energy. Then you can't place any cards in your energy for the duration of the turn, so you can't add any more energy to your energy area after you do this skill. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, that's just how it is. Then at the end of your turn, place the card you place in your energy with this skill, and it's only drop. If you could somehow basically remove that card, add it to your hand from your energy, the card you place from the top of your deck to your energy, add to your hand, whatever, you don't have to neg 1 from the energy area, which I just kind of found out. But we don't actually manipulate our energy in any kind of way other than Zeno Cosmic Unison, so we don't get any of those kind of benefits. So he also has a negative or -5 markers for his Activate main. Choose all cards in battle area, including field extra cards, which I just found out as well. Ignore and barrier and shuffle them into your owner's deck. So it's a field clear, just in case you're getting bombarded with battle cards. You can kind of clear it all with the -5, and it's pretty easy to get get this skill activated if you desperately need it. So we're playing 4 of these guys. And then we're playing the standard Dark Power Black Massane because those decks that just spawn out battle cards like crazy. We just got to put a lockdown on that. And he can self-awaken us as well if we need to get an extra push. Why would we do that? It just depends on the battle state, really. So his auto is when you attack with this card, you may add 1 card from your life to your hand. If you do, this card gets 10,000 power for duration of turn. And his additional auto is when your opponent plays a battle card with 15,000 power or less using a non-keyword skill like an auto, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and places them in the drop area. So this doesn't count for like X evolves or counter skills and things like that, but this is mainly for autos and activate mains, specifically kind of like that. It doesn't really count for permits either unless it's specifically says it in their skill. Okay. Then we have 4 Master Roshi. So we have 4 of the Dark Powers. We just don't really want to play around with that VJ Snack or whatever that is. And then we have 4 of the Master Roshi's Universe 7 United. This is just a standard negate. It's a counter attack, negate the attack, and play this card. That's pretty much all it is. 5,000 power, doesn't do anything else. But it's blue, and it's a negate, and we want lots of negates. Just because we're playing a lot of Gohan decks as well. Gohan hits hard, and it hits fast. We want to kind of stop it as much as we can. So We're running another 4 negates. We got Dimension Magic, so in total we have 8 negates. And then your leader card is blue, negate the attack, and choose 2 of your energy and switch them to active mode. So that's the only kind of energy manipulation we have, is just untapping and tapping them down. That's pretty much it. We don't like play around like how other decks do, but this is kind of what we do. And then permanent Sparking 5, this card, the effect activates when you have 5 or more cards in the drop area. So you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand by adding a card from your life to your hand instead of paying its energy cost. Typically, we don't ever want to do that because we awaken pretty fast with our deck. We only want to do that in dire situations if we're all tapped out. Sometimes you do get all tapped out, but it's rare that we'll be all tapped out and with no backup or anything like that. Then we have our Senzu Beans, which is a key card for this deck. Choose up to one of your cards. Again, it can be a Unison card, battle card, or leader card. It gets 5,000 attack power for the duration of the turn, which can save us from defensive plays. Then you can choose up to 2 of your energy and switch them to active mode. That's where we really need Senzu Bean for. Alright, since we're playing the Unisons and a lot of trunk cards as well, we have Mai here. When her auto is when this card is played, look up to 5 cards from the top of your deck, add up to 1 blue Unison card with a specified cost of 2 or 1 blue Trunks feature card among them to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So any Trunks feature card, and then any of our Unisons that we play with a specified cost of 2. So, and then we're playing 3 of these guys. We can play 4, but we're just playing 3 right now to keep it 50 because we really need to get our cards as fast as we can. Then for a super combo, we got the Vegeta super combo, the new one that's coming out. Its auto is if your leader card is blue. So this doesn't have the standard 10,000 combo power that most of them do nowadays. It has 0 because of its auto. So if your leader card is blue, your life is 4 or less, and all of your energy is blue, which all of our energy will be blue because we will only charge blue energy. We only have 7 other energy cards, so make sure you charge blue when you're playing with this deck, or you would not get your super combos off. So if someone's like pulling from your hand, or you play that dark power mass in and they're kind of taking your cards and putting them in energy, you're kind of SOL at that point. But just be aware of the decks you're playing to make sure you don't get that situation. Anyways, and all of your energy is blue. When this card is used in a combo, it gets 10,000 combo power for the battle. Then you may choose 1 card in your hand and place it at the bottom of your deck. If you do, you draw 2 cards. That's why we play this card, because it nets us basically an additional card after that. It replaces itself completely. We spend 1 for playing it itself in a combo, like most super combos do. You get to draw 1 to replace it. Now let's just place 2, but it lets us draw 2 more cards, 2 fresh cards, and remove a card that we don't need from our hands at the moment. So this is why we play 4 of those guys. Then the highly expensive Great Ape Son Goku Saiyan Instincts. We played 3 of these, but I do have a different variant of this deck that kind of helps you out a little bit better if you don't own these cards. Now, to be clear, there's no card that's like this card that is blue or cheaper, but we do have alternatives for them. So it's activated main, send this card from your drop area to your warp to draw 2 cards. It's really good. There's a lot of hidden control decks out there. You just kind of don't want to be caught in that situation. Krillin himself draws a lot, but you don't want to expend the cards you need to press for game. So this guy helps you. Your energy, how you use the energy for this deck, you don't expend it every single turn. You do save some energy. You don't have to rush because you have cards that literally play with your energy instead of just expending it every single turn just to play it to see what happens. So anyways, this guy is a key card for this deck and a style to play for the competitive versions. But if you're trying to just strictly stick to semi-competitive, we do have, I can show you other variants. They were playing 3 Raging Spirit Gohans, and this guy is because there's a lot of counter plays out there. If you can't play a card on your turn, try to play something on your opponent's turn. That way you can still regain your energy. It lets them, I think the baby deck that's coming out has so many counters, and it's just insane. But a lot of them kind of just, they want to abuse you on their turn. So you kind of want to punish your opponent for spending energy on their turn. That way you can counter and then abuse them on your turn. So anyways, the auto for this card is at the end of the battle, after your combo with this card from your hand, if your leader card is blue, play this card from your hand. Play this card in rest mode. So it's a 50k beat stick at that point, but it gives you 10,000 combo power. It does cost 1 energy though. So realize that. Then we have Photon Wave. You draw one card, you choose all your opponent's battle cards and return them to their owner's hands. We're only running 2 of these guys, but it's just to clear the field if we just can't, we don't have any other way to do it. We only have a few ways to kind of clear our opponent's battlefield, and this is one of them. The other ways is basically stopping our opponent from playing cards. We're only playing, like I said, 2 of these guys, but it does cost 4 energy. So, and then we have Abini. This guy is basically the soul of the deck. This is how you you don't need this card to win specifically, but this is how you punish your opponent for not taking, or punish your opponent for not beating you quick enough. Basically it has deflect, so it's almost impossible to stop this guy coming out. It gets all past all counter plays. Then after if an after image token is in play in your battle area, this card cannot be KO'd. So they have to warp it, they have to bounce it back to your hand, they have to do something to get you, but they would have to wait, because no matter what, since this card has deflect, his auto is going to go off no matter what. Now they can stop the tokens from coming out, but they can't stop Abini from getting its skill. So when you play this card, play 3 after image tokens. So off tops, it won't be able to get KO because you'll be able to bring it out. And then after image tokens have 15,000 attack power, 0 combo cost, and 5,000 combo power. So it has also activate main. Once per turn, your opponent reveals the top card of their deck. If it's a battle card, then at the start of your opponent's next main phase, you choose up to 1 of your blue energies and switch it to active mode. After that, they do have to shuffle their deck. So we're playing 4 of these guys. They're really expensive, but we do have an alternative. If you don't have Abadis, it just won't be as competitive. Then we're playing 4 SS2 Trunks for the Brighter Future. This guy is really key as well because of its activate battle. He is a unique, so you can only play 1 of these guys in the battle area at a time. It has a permanent. If you have blue unison card in play, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So it will be 2 specified blue energy to play this guy if you have a unison. Then his auto is, if your leader card is blue Trunks of future card, at the end of your opponent's turn, you draw 1 card, but we don't get that skill, unfortunately. I wish it would have said if your leader card is a blue Earthling, then you would get it. There's not that many blue Earthlings either, so, but I get the whole playstyle to make sure it's Trunks for the future. But its activate battle is once per turn, 2 blue energy. This card gets 10,000 power and triple strike for the battle, and that's how we finish our opponent, because it's already 20k, so it'll be a 30k triple strike. And then it's after the counter too, since it's during the battle, the offensive step or defensive step. It really helps us kind of clear through the negates. Then we're playing 3 of the Geneva Inferno Intruder. So these guys are really good because they only cost 1 if you have 3 or more energy, and you also have to have no battle cards. So its activate main is if you have 3 or more energy, and if you have no battle cards in play, play this card from your hand for 1 blue energy. That's really good because there's a 20k critical at that point. We don't use this other activate main because we're not playing any other Evil Incarnate cards, so we're not going to go over that. Then lastly for our final counterplay, we're playing SS Trunks God Sealing Technique. This card, it costs 5, but we're never going to actually use it for that because you can't activate counter. It's a counterplay skill, but you can't activate other counterplay skills after you use this card. So you may discard this card from your hand. If you do, the battle card being played is returned to its owner's hand instead, which is good. So you take out any card that doesn't have deflect on it, goes right back to their owner's hand. But they're expending a lot of energy on their battle card, we can just bounce it right back. So we're playing 3 of those guys. But if you don't play this card, or if you don't, we also play this card. So if you just want to get a 15k in attacker, then we can. But its permanent is really why we really like this card, because if you have a blue unison card with 2 or more markers on it in play, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand without paying its energy cost. So it's completely free at that point. Then lastly, you're playing the new SCR. If you don't have this card, there's obviously a lot of big boss monsters you can play, but we play this card just because a 40k beat stick is really what we're looking for. It costs 8 energy, but we're going to be playing it basically for free. So it's a counter attack. If you have 3 or more energy, negate which we're going to have pretty fast in this deck. Not because we're adding energy and we're extending our plays. It's because we're defending ourselves to get us 3 energy. That's what that's the whole goal, is to make it to 3 energy. But if you have 3 or more energy, we negate the attack, then play this card, so it gets played for free. at that point, or get played for 8 energy at that point. Your opponent can't attack for the turn. That's what we like. We shut down our opponent completely. There's no getting around that, unless they play a counter to negate our counter attack. Then it's permanent. If this card will be removed from the battle area, remove it from the game instead. So there's no way to get it back. Once it leaves, it's gone forever. So permanent, if your leader card is mono blue, you can choose one other card in your hand and discard it instead of paying this card's energy cost when activate its counter skill from your hand. That's why we get to play it for free. So if you guys don't, that's pretty much the whole deck. But if you guys don't have Great Apes, Son Goku, Saiyan Instincts, we do have another card that's similar to it, but you have to try a little harder. Over here in our side deck, this is not a real side deck, this is just replacement cards. We have Energetic Frenzy Kefla. It kind of does the same thing. It's a lot harder to get out, but you can kind of maintain it and get the same effect as the Great Ape, but multiple times instead of just at once. And it's also free. So its permanent skill, it is 7 costs, but it has 3 specified blue energy. Its permanent skill is only 1 copy of this card can be played in your battle area. Then, so it has like the unique skill, but then it has a permanent reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each of your blue battle cards. So if you have enough blue battle cards, if you have 4 blue battle cards, like say our Master Roshi's, our Mai's, our Racing Spirit Gohan's, things like that, then this card would go down to 3 specified energy. And at that point, you can use activate main once per turn, draw 2 cards. Then at the start of your opponent's next main phase, you choose 2 of your blue energy and switch them to active mode. So it nets you 2 blue energy plus 2 cards every single turn, and it's also a 25,000 attack power. That's pretty good at that point. But just to realize that if you do go down that low for 3 energy and you're trying to play it for 3 energy, they can counter you with cards that say 4 or less energy removed from play and things like that, because it's that low now. It doesn't have it's 3 energy in your hand and then 7 energy in the battle area. So if it doesn't touch the battle area, it's still 3 energy, so they can take you out. So be cautious of that. It's not a guaranteed play because it doesn't have deflect. Okay, so if you don't have Obinini though, unfortunately, there's really no card at all that's like Obinini. This is really the soul of the card, but there's other ways to play around it. If you're not playing with Obinini, there's no point to really play Xeno Cosmic Unison anymore, because we kind of want to use this card to basically rush out Obinini as fast as you can if you have it, just because we can play Obinini turn 3 if you really wanted to, right? And then if we're in situations, we can awaken, or we can use Obinini's activate main to untap 1 energy, or we can use Dimension Magic to basically untap 2 energies if we're in that situation. But without Obinini, there's no point in playing that unison. We'll swap out to 2 other unisons. We have Janemba, Wicked Agent of Destruction. This card is really good because it nets you a draw as well. We really want to keep our draw power because there's a lot of decks out there that just really attack the hand. So for 0 count markers, it does count as one of your marker skills. So if you use this one, you won't be able to use any other one. Activate main, you and your opponent draw 1 card, then your opponent places the top card of their deck into the drop area. So this does help your opponent, but it does neg them 1 from the top of their deck, which could be a really good card that they need, a super combo, a negate, a secret rare, anything like that. Then for +1 marker, you activate main, this card gains critical for a turn, so it pressures your opponent, 15,000 power critical to your opponent. And then for -2 markers, activate main /battle. If your opponent has 15 or less cards in your deck, this card gains 50,000 power and triple strike. So it can be a game ender at that point. So, or you play the new unison, Baby the Unknown Parasite, and this card is really good too, because you gain 2 markers for its activate main, and then you get to draw 1 card. So it still does have the drawing effect that you really need. Then when you have 5 markers, you take off 5 markers, it has activate main. If your leader card is mono blue, which ours is, you choose up to 1 of your leader cards and it gets 15,000 power and double strike. So Krillin can potentially be a 35k double strike critical attacker at that point, which is really good. So it gains that for the duration of the turn. And then until the start of your next turn, you can activate mono blue cards with counter skills from your hand by choosing 2 other cards in your hand, discarding them instead of paying your energy costs. We only play 2, So it doesn't really, well, counterplay. We only play 2. We play counter attackers, but it doesn't really matter. So it doesn't really benefit us that much, but we can play them technically for free if we are free energy if we just remove 2 cards in our hand. But given the fact that our SER counter skill, it's just 1 card from our hand, and then our SS Trunks God Sealing Technique is free with a Unison. The only card we can really benefit from that, I guess, is Master Roshi, which only costs 1. So I typically just use this for the draw, but it does cost 3 blue energy to bring this guy out. So you would just replace Unison with this guy instead and kind of go for pressure. At that point, if you don't have any of these guys, Great Saiyan, Ape, Son Goku, or Abuni, the whole deck has to change. I would suggest like putting smaller cards like Burnished Bonds, Borgos in there, cards that let you draw, things like that. They kind of get them down as fast as you can, just so you can get out Kefla, Energetic Frenzy Kefla, just so you can get those draw power on. Like at that point, your deck is completely semi-competitive. It won't be able to really hold against top tier decks at that point. The only way to do that is, like I said, this deck costs a lot of money simply because of 3 cards, I believe. Yeah, you got the SCR, you have the, but you can swap that out for anything really. You have the Great Ape Son Goku, which is highly expensive right now, even with the reprint. And you have Abuni, which is very expensive right now too. But these cards are expensive for a reason. They're really good, especially in these decks. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked the video, go ahead and like the video. If you guys have any comments about any suggestions I should have added or any other videos you would like me to make, go ahead and leave a comment down below. If you're new here, please do subscribe if you like the video as well. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you guys next time.